If you live in the United States of America, this is your house. A local community leader says everyone, regardless of background, must come together to ensure we live in the best America possible.
In tonight's We Stand Together, News 8's Katira Winfrey sits down with Pastor John Gurtin.
Unite for change is a simple concept, but it takes work to get there. Pastor John Gurtin created the Urban Servant Leadership Conference 5 years ago, and this weekend marks year 6. That concept has stayed the same. The unconference will focus on topics like public policy, economic empowerment, the healthcare crisis, and social justice. And in times like these, now just may be the perfect time to unite.
So you've been active in the Indianapolis community in so many different places. What's it like for you watching the state of the country and the state of the city as it relates to racial injustice?
Well, nothing that is going on surprises me. Where we are today is a matter not of legislation. It's not a matter of public policy. It's not a matter of the marching and the dying and the lynching that have happened over the years. It's a matter of the heart. And I think that here in our country, as well as in the state of Indiana, we've seen really acts that don't surprise me in the least bit. I think that one of the challenges of any group of people is not to become anesthetized by words and deeds and things that people do, such that you are surprised when they do something that to you seems now out of character. So the defacing of the Black Lives Matter on Indiana Avenue did not surprise me. The words that came out of the bishop out of Carmel did not surprise me. I think that what we have to do in our city, in our state, and in our country is to make sure that we keep the main thing, and that is to continue to love on each other and one another, and to continue to give to others what we want to be given, realizing that there are going to be some people that will literally spit in your face. But at the end of the day, you know, seed time and harvest still works. Whatever you put in the ground is going to come back. And so the hate that is being spewed out invariably has no option to do anything but to come back to those individuals. What they're sowing, they also will reap.
And you talk about just not being surprised by all of the stuff we've seen. We constantly hear George Floyd was the springboard. This isn't something that's new. While this is a sad situation, expound on this not being new, that we've seen these situations play out before.
In our community, in minority community, and let me say in the black and brown community, you have people who understand relationship. We're relational people, and as relational people, when folks saw George Floyd, they didn't see a black man. They saw their cousin. In our community, they saw their brother. Some people saw their father. They saw their cousin, their uncle, you know, they saw somebody that looked like them. They saw somebody that could have been them. But we also saw our sons that we were sending to Bloomington, to IU. And we saw, you know, our daughters that we're letting out of the house, praying that they come home. And I think that's what really fuels our anxiety over hope for the future, because our past keeps reminding us of the hate. This is the reckoning that we have. When we see something like that happen in our streets, we have to deal with the past that we thought we were beyond, and we have to deal with the future that we question because of what we just saw.
Talk about just how your background and everything that you've seen over the years went into developing the unconference.
There definitely was a sort of a timeline to how the Urban Servant Leadership Unconference came to be. Of course, part of that involved the tent campaign in 2015, where we slept on the street in one of the most violent areas of our city, which was literally right around the corner from the church that I pastored at the time, CMBC Indy. Little did we know that we were living at that time in one of the most violent areas of the city, one of the hot spots. And so in sleeping in that tent and staying out there, what we really did more than anything, and I don't think people realize this, it wasn't really about the homicides. It was, but it really wasn't. What it really was about was hearing from the people. It was getting an opportunity to understand that people were resilient. They weren't just, people living in the urban community. They had ideas, they had creativity, they had vision, they had dreams, they had goals for themselves that they had set. And I would sit there in a chair, a lawn chair, and watch people drive by, and I would wave at people, and they wouldn't wave back. I would constantly stand there and look at people as they went past, and I could notice that they drove through those communities without really thinking about those dreams. When you talk to people in the community, you find out they know exactly what they want for their community. So what we found was we had people in the 25th floor of the City County building. We had people going into Salesforce Tower. We had people going into IU Health who would go into a room much like the one we're in right now. They would sit around a table and they make decisions that would impact those individuals without having talked to them, without having heard from them. In other words, they stood across the street and said, "Let me tell you what you need." And the people said, "I never told you I needed that. If you had come and asked me, I would have told you what we needed, what we wanted."
Just with the action and the motivation from so many people seeking change, do you think that now is a important time to really get the ball rolling, or will more people say, "You know what, let me step up"?
Clearly now is a watershed moment. It's a reckoning for a lot of people. The challenge, I think, moving forward, if we really want to see progressive, change, is that those who are in the positions, who have the resources, who have the voices, who are sitting in the seats, which by and large are not people of color, they are not women, they are not people from the LGBTQ community. We need those voices to step up. And these are people that don't look like me. I think if we're going to see real change, at some point they're going to have to see George Floyd as their uncle and their cousin and their brother. Someone suggested that in America we must understand it, no matter where you came from. If you live in America, we all live in the same house. And if the house is on fire, all of our lives are in danger. And I believe that America is on fire right now. And it's going to take all of our voices to make a difference, from the White House to the outhouse, from Wall Street to Main Street to Back Street. We all are going to have to come together, and that's what Unite for Change really is all about.
The Unconference is Saturday. You can find out more about the virtual event on our website, wishtv.com.
And remember, you can also listen to our We Stand Together podcast anytime. Find tonight's episode and others online at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.